like an introduction and the purpose for what we're doing. So I thought I should do a small video to guide us and understand what are we doing, where are we headed. So yeah, my name is Aisha Chiroma Abdullahi. I'm an architect. I'm married with 3 beautiful children and a loving husband. That's why I'm able to do what I'm doing. So basically, I have a degree from the University of Jos, my first degree, and I have a master's from the UK, University of East London. I saw the way they do things over there because I worked there for a while, and when I came back, I saw the difference between how things were done there. It doesn't mean they don't have problems there, but generally, why can't it be better over here? Why do we have to manage mediocrity? So I thought, why don't we see what's the problem? How can we solve this problem? And I thought, there's a lot of employment, there's a lot of poverty, people, a lot of youth with no direction. So I thought, why don't we do something and see where can we all fit in, where can we all help ourselves? Can we build a community, a network to help each other to achieve something positive in life? So hence this initiative. So I just gathered some professionals within and without, thinking of your comfort zone, your comfort level. How do you have a holistic solution? So yesterday was Emmanuel Sofar, who is an environmentalist. He's keen on the environment. When you go around, you see plastic bottles, other things littered in the gutters. And why do we do that? And it's a collective problem, and we are all suffering for the problem. Every year you have floods due to the litter in the gutters and the drainage system, if you say. So yeah, that is basically why Emmanuel Sofar came on to see, what can we do in that aspect. And then today we have Engr Ojo, Engr Gabriel Ojo, who is a structural engineer. So he has a different aspect, a point of view, why we have what we have, why there are cracks on the building, why the foundation is wobbling, why after a while the building slopes to one side, things like that, why the roads don't last. So yeah, so please tune in, and I hope you enjoy it. Bye-bye. How are you today?
I'm very fine, thank you.
Yeah, so please we'll go right into it. Can you tell us a little bit about yourself? You can share your screen.
Okay. Yes, okay. Can you see my screen? Can you see my screen?
Yes, we are seeing you.
Yes, so good day once again. And my name is Gabriel Ojo. I just give you a short bio about myself. I graduated in civil engineering from University of Science and Technology in Kumasi in Ghana in 1980. I also had an MSc and a DIC, that's Diploma of Imperial College, from Imperial College London. I've been in continuous civil structural engineering and project management consultancy practice for over 40 years. I am registered with various relevant professional bodies and regulatory bodies like COREN in Nigeria and in the United Kingdom and in some professional bodies in America, like the American Concrete Institute. I'm currently a co-founding partner of Sunny Ojo and Partners, which was a partnership company that has now transformed into Sunny Ojo and Partners Consulting Limited. I'm one of the directors, and the company is an ISO certified company. Okay. And I'm still very active and enjoying what I do, especially teaching, training, and mentoring. So that's just about a short bio of myself. Okay?
That's wonderful.
Now, I've tried to put something together so that it's more beneficial to the people. So if you want, you can share it with them along the line. So as a general background, the topic that is becoming or transforming or upscaling from an ordinary to extraordinary and becoming a quality finished consultant. It's a very apt and very topical and very good initiative, which is very well appreciated. As you can see, the building industry is made up of various players, various professionals. Usually, the architect will lead as the person who conceives the building, but the architect is certainly not alone. We have other players, other consultants who come there. We have the structural engineer, we have the MEP, that's the mechanical, electrical, and plumbing consultant. We have the quantity surveyor, you have the builder, and you have other specialists depending upon the type of building project it is. So, trying to raise awareness and concern about quality of finish of projects or buildings at this particular time is a very good advocacy, which is very wonderful. It's a good initiative coming from the architect, who is a natural leader when you are talking about the building industry. So this is very much appreciated. And I'm talking as a structural engineer with over 40 years, and having been working mainly with private sector companies and multinationals who appreciate value of professionalism and quality work, it is not difficult to appreciate how some of us will feel when we see the way projects are finished, the way things are in the country. So it is very exciting for me to be a part of this initiative. So, and I'm going to discuss, thank you, and I'm going to discuss this from the perspective of the structural engineer, who is a member of the consultancy team for a typical, building industry project. So, I start by making an assertion in a statement that certainly the quality of finished jobs in our environment is very poor, generally very poor, not good enough. That is my opinion. And we have poor quality finished buildings and infrastructure virtually everywhere. It's very widespread, and it appears to be the norm rather than the exception. It's unfortunate. This is a very worrisome and embarrassing development to some of us who know what we can deliver, what good or finished project is all about. So, and it's happening all around. It's happening in private, with private individuals. It's happening with private sector companies. And it's also happening even with a number of government projects. So it's everywhere, all around. So, and if you just look around us, you see many buildings with very serious cracks. You see cracks on the building. You see cracks on the fence walls. You see many buildings are out of alignment. You see cladding elements falling off, clay bricks and other facing finishing elements falling off buildings. And you have drains and culverts that are failing here and there. Some of them, they last just a few seasons, and then they are gone. And then you have very pathetic cases of very distressed buildings in some part of Lagos. If you go to Maryland, some buildings have sunk and the first floor is becoming ground floor. You have similar things in Bagada area of Lagos. You have similar things in Makoko, and you have in many other parts of Lagos, and it is very widespread. But why is this the case? This is happening because there is general lack. One of the reasons is because there is general lack of appreciation of professionalism. And this is one of the biggest problems. Many clients do not engage qualified consultants, qualified and competent consultants on their projects. Some engage consultants to do only design for them, but no supervision. Many infrastructural projects are executed by incapable and incompetent contractors who cannot deliver quality jobs. People cannot give what they do not have. So, and also, there is also a general lack of attention to details. If you want buildings or to be well finished, or any construction to be of very high class in terms of finishing, you must pay attention to details. That is also general lacking. So at the end of the day, you have people losing money because people do not get value for money on their projects. Many of their projects fail to varying degrees. Some will collapse outrightly. Some are unusable, and many learn through the hard way. So this is what is happening generally. Now, one of the other reasons is that some simply refuse to listen to professional advice just to cut costs. So I have a very practical experience of one of our colleagues. We were helping him to supervise his building. So at the foundation, we make sure that everything was well. And he wasn't paying us because we are friends, we are close friends. So we were giving him professional service free. Now, what happened was that when he got to he was doing the filling, and we told him the level that he should fill the ground floor to before doing the ground floor slab, so that we make sure we took level of the surrounding and wanted to be sure that the building is free of the flood line. So we said the level he should raise the building to. He said okay, but when we left, he just simply called the people working for him. He said that no, I don't have time and I don't have much money to spend. So he just asked them to do the ground floor or the German floor. And now this left the building at a very low level. And lo and behold, when that happened, when he wasn't listening to professional advice, we left him and he carried on. Very unfortunately, he finished the building. One rainy season, the whole place was flooded out, and they could not stay in that building. So this is a practical example. So he didn't have to pay for the professional advice. We gave him advice, but he did not listen. He now constructed a building which he could not stay in. How traumatic. They ended up selling the building. So that's the thing. So one of the other problems is poor quality materials generally being used, being incorporated into the works. And this is also very widespread. The issue of poor quality materials is very bad. When you look at it from structural point of view, we have concrete blocks, which people are producing and are using around. I mean, when you raise it to the waist level and you drop it, they will crumble. They are so bad. They should not be used, even for ordinary partition, because there's very little or no cement inside. But this is what you find around being sold. So by the time they even deliver it, it's already breaking into pieces. Similarly, you have people making very poor quality concrete around. It is the norm. That's what you find on most construction sites, except those sites where they actually engage people who will ensure they enforce quality control, quality assurance on the project. So when you have poor quality or inappropriate filling material, when people have to fill, they do not know that you cannot use certain materials to make your level, so they just use anything. So this is part of the problem, and people use substandard materials generally, and that is the norm. It is very unfortunate, but that is part of the situation. Now, when we are talking about poor quality job, let me tell you, there was a particular situation we had in Ota. We were doing a project for a client, one of our expatriates clients in Ota. And when we went to that site, I saw them constructing a drain. It must have been one of those drains being constructed by the local government. And I told them at that meeting, when we were passing with my other colleagues and the expatriate client, I told them that this thing that they are doing, by the time we finish your job, this drain will have failed. And lo and behold, there was much later on when we had to visit that site again. And I drew their attention, that drain had been washed away. That drain had gone completely. And I said, do you remember about 6 months earlier, we came here and they were constructing this drain. I told you when I looked at what they were doing that this drain was going to fail by the time we finished your job. I mean, that's the unfortunate thing, but that was the real situation. Just look around and see handstands that they are doing in filling stations all around. With the exception of very few, they use what will not even be good as blinding concrete. That's what they use. And they just sprinkle cement on it at the end of the day. And they have very nasty, so cars will move on top for a few months, and then the whole thing is gone. And you see the road dividers and crash barriers in some of our roads. You will see some illustration of this much later on. The other thing is, the other reason for job not being finished well is the poor quality of workmanship. This is also very widespread. A lot of people are not properly trained as masons or craftsmen or this, but they think that a mason simply needs a range and a trowel, and then he becomes a mason. He has to train. So you have a lot of people who are doing things and they pay no attention to quality. Workmanship you have generally is very poor. We will see the situation with some lighting poles when I'm illustrating with a few photographs later. So then there's also a high level. One of the reasons is also due to a high level of poverty. Certainly, most people think that, look, I mean, when you are talking about quality, that's what you are talking is secondary. that I just need a roof over my head and I cannot be bothered. They do not appreciate what we are talking about because they have been impoverished. Unfortunately, that is the situation. So, what are some of the other reasons, contributory factors? Generally, corruption. Because if people are awarding contracts and they are sharing the money, so how can the contractor have enough money to execute the job and deliver quality goods? Definitely quality work. Definitely, it is what is left that will be spent on the project. And it is very widespread. Another important reason is lack of proper and adequate regulatory framework. Ordinarily, there should be people who are registering, people who are allowed to sell things like Standard Organization of Nigeria or others who will say that, look, you can imagine if cement itself was not regulated by a body and people are just free to throw any manner of quality cement into the market. I mean, you can imagine the enormity of the disaster. So if that can happen to other materials and other this, it will be a good idea. So we don't have adequate regulatory framework. And even a few ones that are there too, they are also not properly enforced. Okay. So, and which is part of the reason, enforcement of even whatever regulatory framework, and there is no consequence when people who execute a job and it fails. Instead of people like that being blacklisted or not being given another job, but because of the way we do things, and that will not prevent them from getting the next job. I mean, if we did a road or if we did a job and it has not lasted 2 rainy seasons, it has failed. When a road is supposed to last from 25 to 50 years, depending upon how it's constructed, just with very little or no maintenance. But after 1 rainy season, the road is gone. Then what do you have? I mean, if there is no consequence, they will continue to do it. But what you see is that not just that, money that we should be using to construct new projects. I mean, we know resources are limited, but instead of spending money, you do this project, you know you are finished with it. In the next 20, 25 years, you're not going to spend money on it again. But if it fails after 2 rainy seasons and it's within the town and it is becoming an embarrassment, they will have to award that contract again because from public outcry. So money that we should be using to do 10 projects will be spending it doing 1 project. Some of those projects may even have been already overpriced. So at the end of the day, we are not making progress and continue to get poor quality jobs. So these are the things, these are some of the reasons that we can say are being responsible for all this. Of course, there are many more. Now, let me show you some of the illustrations. I just went around, I think, just the day before yesterday to take a few photographs to show some of these. Now, look at this. This is the top slab over the drain that has been constructed. This is on Acme Road. This is on Acme Road in Ikeja. Look at the mess it is. Look at I mean, it is very embarrassing. And look at the safety. I mean, you will see it's by the side of the road. I mean, so look at what we are getting. Look at what we are getting for whatever money was spent on the project. Can you see? So this is what you have when we don't pay attention to the quality of finish of what we do. Okay. Then this is also on Obakran. I just went on the day before yesterday just to bring this into proper perspective. So you can see now, I think it was the government before Governor Sanwo-Olu. Now, they did street lights on our background and many other roads. And it looked nice, but because I passed that place, I passed that route. So when I saw how they executed the job, I said, this thing is not going to last. Because I could see many defects, many things that should not be done that way. And now, the day before yesterday, when I counted just the stretch from the bridge over Ikeja, from that bridge, and before you get to Mobile, just about Akilo Road, that's before you get to Guinness. There are no less than about 50 street lights there originally. Many of them have failed to one degree or another. You can see some of them. You can see that it's completely rooted out. You can see some of them. I mean, look at this. It's just waiting to fall. This is what you have, and you can see. I mean, there are some of them. Look at some of them. They are already bent. So hardly will you find up to 10 that are not affected. I mean, it's not good enough. These are some of the things that make some of us very unhappy, very uncomfortable. So that's why, once again, I want to appreciate the organizer of this initiative, because it's an opportunity to bring things like this before, so that people can pay more attention. So now, of course, you can see the curves. Apart from the street lights, look at the curves. It's not. Look at the curves. Look at the curves. This is not quality job. And some of these curves, they were done many years back, and when they were looking so bad, so unsightly, then they now recast concrete, because it was just looking bad. They now recast concrete on top of them again the second time, because they were looking so nasty. Now look at the state they are even now. But if you do things right the first time in good quality, it will last and it will endure. So that is that. Now, the other thing I want to use to illustrate is, if you go to, you see this see-through fence that you find all around, they are beautiful, but I mean, now this is the one of such. Just take a drive through Jibowu and go to my 12, and you go along that road and you see the state of those see-through fence, you will become sad. Now I have gone to Maryland, at the underpass of Maryland, and this is the state of some of the fence which they did not long ago. Can you see? Can you see? Can you see? But even if you look at the way they have been, you can see this poor quality block wall, which should not even be used in the first instance. So this is what you get. And this is how we finished our job. And this is what you find all around. The reasons I have explained variously. So you can see how uncomfortable some of us feel when we walk around and we see this thing. Now, let me tell you something. One of our clients, a multinational organization, when they wanted to use this see-through fence for their head office project in Victoria Island, they came to us and they asked us to give them a detail which they will use to fix that. And we gave them a detail which they constructed. Those see-through fence are still there, intact till today. That's many years ago. Look at what was done just not long ago. So can you see, when you engage professionals, when you do things right, you get value. So this is what is happening. So this is just to illustrate this with a few, practical, what we find around here. So when we are talking about it, people can take it into perspective. And the next thing, and the final point, is just to go to what we call what are the ways out? But you see, the way the thing have been presented so far, you can see that the problems are easy they have been outlined, so it's not too difficult to know how to attend to them. So, for instance, addressing the problem, we need to pay attention to professionalism. Paying attention to professionalism is very important. So, and this will ensure that there is proper design for whatever is to be done. There will be proper material specification, and then there will be supervision as required. There will be quality control, quality assurance enforcement, and professionalism also means that there's proper training and continuing professional development. So that when there are new ways of doing things, when there are new material, these are all part of professionalism, which a professional, irrespective of the discipline, there is always a need for continued professional development. These things, and you can always bring this to bear on projects because people are continuing to learn. And very importantly, like I said before, learning to pay attention to details. Learning to pay attention to details. And when I say paying attention to details, when we do drawing, even chamfers to concrete will be shown on those drawings. We are not just drawing lines. Wherever there are chamfers, that should be to the edge of the column or a curve or anything, it will be there. And so when you pay attention to details, you certainly get a very high quality finished product. Okay? And we should learn to engage people who are competent, who are capable of doing any particular job. So for any project, look at which people have the requisite capability to do it. Nobody can give what he does not have. So if you give a job, because A knows B, and you give a job to your friend, he cannot deliver what he doesn't have. So if you are expecting, but even as the architect, before you can fix ties and everything, the building must be square. You start to look at if they are skilled right from even the structure. You start to pay attention to all this because at the end of the day, the finishing will run into problems. So these are paying attention to details and doing things right. It is only people who have the capability to deliver things that can give. What people don't have capacity or capability to give, they can't. Yeah, poor people need to be empowered. So very good. You empower them, and government policy or individual on the rich people, the well-to-do in the society, we should come up with something that will enable good quality homes. And when you give people good quality homes, they will be happy for life. They will be happy for life because anytime they enter into their building, they are happy. So, and it's not rocket science. It can be done. But that is only when we are paying attention to good governance and we are not wasting our resources and doing one project over and over and over. And we are using our resources judiciously. And people people see that, look, there is value in helping others. So, and, it is, all of us have a role to play. But I think that by, doing this, we are also increasing the advocacy that is required. So the enlightenment and advocacy, which is good that you have initiated, it is good. And like I said, I'm very happy and proud to be a part of this initiative. Okay. And tackling corruption is part of the thing. We've mentioned corruption. But corruption can be tackled in very many ways from the root. You can tackle corruption through systems. There is no construction site on which there will be no pilfering and stealing, people collude. But you can put things in place by evaluating your in and out. How many bags of cement have been brought in? And then what is the quantity of how much concrete has been poured, and you know how much and how many tons of reinforcement have been delivered, and what is the quantity incorporated into the work. And if we are taking stock and monitoring this from time to time, when people will start to steal, you will know, and you can check it at the outset. So it's not about making noise or anything, but you put systems in place, and then you find out that people know that they are being watched, or people know that if something is missing, they will know. So it helps the system. So when we are able to minimize corruption in different ways, and this can be carried to various spheres of life. So it's not only about the construction. I just use that because we are dealing with building. That's why I've used that. There are many ways that you can put systems in place. And if you have an audit trail, or just in and out checking what is input, what has been produced, and what is the balance, you will be able to check the corruption. Providing more regulations and accreditations and certifications, and incentivizing compliance. You see, for instance, if you say that it's only people who can do this, or who are registered with this, let's say an ISO organization, who have offered themselves to external auditors to certify that they have a quality management system, and it doesn't mean that they can do no wrong, but it shows that even if things are wrong, they can be isolated, there is traceability, and things can be corrected. And you can also isolate what has been, what is the problem. That's the whole thing. So when you start saying, look, I'm going to give and that's where the world is going. The world is going to a place where you want people who will do a particular job will be people who are certified, or who have an ISO system, who have a very verifiable method. And when you encourage people so that quacks can no longer get job or anything, or whatever they can get, they are things that are not significant, then we start to make progress. So this is what I mean. And then there should be consequences for wrongdoing. Somebody has executed a job. It has lasted 2 rainy seasons. There should be outcry. There should be, no, this person cannot be given a job again. We should have an open and transparent system, so that whoever has done something, there should be, people, there can be public outcry that, no, don't give these people a job again. They did this job and then it collapsed, and this building is still seeing this and that. So these are all part of the thing that we can do. That when there is accountability, when there is consequence for things, then we can change the system. And then, and those of us who find ourselves as consultants here and there, we'll continue to help people, train them, and, and this is part of our own contribution. So, this is what I have to present. And it's just the start. This advocacy must continue. We must not be tired. This advocacy must continue. And because it's a very good initiative. So I want to thank you very much for your attention. Thank you very much.
Wow, Mr. Ojo, Engineer Ojo, sorry.
Doesn't matter.
Thank you so much for your presentation. It was absolutely wonderful, very explicit, very clear. Even the layman can understand what you're saying. I'm so impressed, and I'm so happy with you, sir. Thank you so much for this. Yes.
Thank you. You're welcome.
Yes.
It's always a pleasure.
Yes.
Thank you.
It's really good, because at the end of the day, when people are seeing the point at each point, at least someone can key in to it and realize that, okay, when they see this going wrong, okay, maybe they can help to mitigate the risk and change the course of action. So, wow, it's splendid. Thank you so much.
I will forward this to you.
That'll be
I'll
good.
forward this.
Yeah, so we'll forward it
Yes,
to the audience. So the audience can
yes,
have
I
a
mean,
look. So it's a good one. It's a good one. So, sir, on a
thank you.
lighter note, I'm just going to ask you about yourself on a lighter note.
Yes.
Yes. So, yes, you are basically you've told us about yourself, your background, and all that. So, sir, what do you think is your biggest strength?
Uh, my biggest strength is being thorough and paying attention to details.
Wonderful.
And unfortunately, I'm somebody who is very difficult to satisfy because of the way I do things. I want things to be done very so. I see it as strength. It can also be a weakness because many people will find it difficult to work with me. But I keep telling them, at the end of the day, you will be better for it. Even if I stretch you, it is to make you better because I cannot. I mean, look at this. I have to put something together do it so that people can even go over it later on. It takes effort, and that's the sort of thing that I love to do. So when people are lazy or when people are not paying attention to detail or are not thorough, I'm uncomfortable.
Mm, mm. Wonderful, wonderful. So, would you say that is your weakness? Because I was going to ask you what is your biggest weakness. So, is that your weakness as well?
Yeah, that's my weakness because I tell people in the office, there was a time in the office, and then they say you say something and see whether false or no, whether false or true. And I told them that I am a very easy person to work with. And everybody say, ah. But I accept that, I mean, you can't be lazy or you can't do things halfway and you will be happy. So, but I will make you go the extra mile. By the end of the day, people are always happy and better.
Yeah, as long as you can see the results, at the end of the day, you understand why.
Exactly. And they always see. So also with contractors. I tell them, contractors feel, my colleagues and I, that no, our company, we are too difficult. At the end of the day, at the end of the day, you'll be happy that you work with us because your level will never be the same again.
Yes, wonderful, wonderful. Just the same, even yesterday on a project, we've been working on a site, and I said to the contractors, I said, don't worry, by the end of the project, we will be friends. But even if we're not friends now, we'll be friends later, and they can see the results. Yes, it's a good one.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Exactly.
So where do you see yourself in 5 years' time?
Oh, I mean, I'm I'm 60, 60, 54 to 2001. That's about this my 67th year. So I mean, I'm of course. As long as God gives me life, I'll continue to train, to mentor, to this while I'm retiring. But when you enjoy what you do, it's not a burden to you. It's not burdensome when you enjoy what you do. So I see myself continuing to impart knowledge, continuing to mentor people, and because I do a lot of that, and it gives me joy. It gives me joy. It gives me joy.
Beautiful, beautiful. Sir, you don't even look it at all. You don't even look like you're 60. So, hey, good, good one. Yeah. So, okay. So, basically, so I would just, sorry, do you read books? Do you read books?
Not too many books because I do a lot of what I call continuing professional development in areas relevant to what I do. Because being a director of one of the directors of a company who have to chart the way. So I'm always looking at what are the things we can do differently. So in that area, I look for how to learn about that thing. And then, so things that will make our organization better. So that's the sort of thing that I still read, and so.
Recommended book for management then?
Yeah, I mean, I do a lot of project management, so I read, but a lot of them are a bit ingrained. So if there are new things, I'm excited about them, and anything that will also help the organization and my colleagues. We have to be forward-looking. So where is the global trend? Where are we? Okay, like the Revit and technology, and so in what way can we make what we do to be comparable with what is done elsewhere? So that is the sort of thing that I keep
That's good. So you're open to change.
Oh, I mean, no. Very caring.
Sorry, you broke up a bit. You broke up.
With technology, with how things are done in the new way. I said, though I'm supposed to be an old school, but I mean, I'm still very current, because I'm not just the old school, like in engineering, when we were using old code. Yes, I was part of it, and then modern codes, and I'm as current as anybody else. And that's the joy. Because if you want to be a leader, I mean, you must have a posture, you must be ahead of others so that you can chart the way. So that is the thing. So I cannot be stagnant and then be a good leader.
So, sir, your closing remark, what would be your advice to the younger ones? And those looking for a path, what would be your advice to them?
Yes, my advice to the younger one is to be focused and to sit down and see what can they do. It does not matter where in your discipline, where you have graduated. Think about what you can do in entrepreneurship, in new technology, and see how technology can come into whatever you want to do. I mean, there are people who sometimes say, look, I don't even what job. And we say, look, can you learn how to do this? How to use Revit, and you can from there detail and do fantastic things and other things. We have got some people now to be able to do this, and they are so happy. I told them, look, I mean, if you do it during your NYSC, if after that you don't want, I mean, of course, you can be. And somebody we introduced to something which he was never thinking about. I mean, he's not happy doing in that sort of thing. I mean, so people should just be focused, and they should open their minds to what opportunities are there around them, and think about what they can do that will give them joy. They should stop looking for money at the beginning. Look for professionalism and knowledge and empowerment. At the end of the day, money will come, and you will be comfortable. So that's what I want to say.
What if we have people that are thinking of, I'm not sure. Could you guide them if they want to come into our line, into the construction industry?
Yes, what the opportunities that we offer, for instance, we have many universities around. They send their engineering students for 6 months industrial training. I mean, I am the industry-based supervisor for the company, and I take them as my children, and I train these people. And at the end of the day, at the end of the 6 months, they see that they are way ahead of their colleagues, and they are happy for it. But you see, there's a limit to how many people we can take in at the same time. And that's why many of the universities, they say, oh, we want to bring our students, we want to continue to bring our students, but there is a limitation of space. So because a lot of them, they are hands-on training. So in whatever way, then also people who come on NYSC, we use that as an opportunity to train them. A few also people come while they are waiting for NYSC. But all these are subject to availability of space because there are so many people who want to come. We are limited by space and, so these are various ways. Then we are also part of organizations like professional bodies who also have various training programs. Most professional bodies have their yearly training calendar where they outline the topics that, and it's people like us who are resource persons, and we are glad to be resource persons. So there are many opportunities that are open to people. Online training are also available to people. So people should not be fixated or there are many things people can teach themselves now. So because when I want to employ people, and then when I'm asking them,
sorry, my battery is going to die now. My battery is about
okay,
to
we'll soon run out.
So, yes, sir.
So look, how did you spend your NYC period? The campus said, no, it's an opportunity for you to learn and do something for you. There are so many things you can learn for yourself online. People should be aware of resources that are available online, and they should teach themselves. They must have initiative, and that will help them and go a long way.
Thank you, sir. So nice having you, sir. Thank you.
Pleasure.